You ever meet someone who just seems to operate on a totally different frequency? They don't seem to need what everyone else needs. In fact, some of their choices can feel, well, a little unusual. Let's really get into this, because what looks like detachment from the outside is often a sign of a really powerful, deeply structured inner world.
For example, think about how they travel. You'll often see them going places completely alone. No big group trip, no safety net of friends, just them and a destination. And it's so easy to look at that and think, oh, they must be lonely. But that's probably not it at all. This isn't a sign they can't find connection. It's a sign that they're so complete on their own that company becomes a choice, not a necessity.
Or how about their social media? In a world that is just screaming for constant updates, where every little meal and milestone gets broadcast for likes, they're often radio silent. You're not going to find a long stream of selfies or these big splashy announcements. Why? Because their validation comes from inside, not from a notification on their phone.
And here's a really interesting one. Their birthday. For them, it often just passes like any other Tuesday. There's no big countdown, no super elaborate party planning. They're grateful if you wish them well, of course, but there's no big emotional fanfare. For them, being alive isn't something that needs a yearly celebration to feel real.
So what is going on here? Is this person just antisocial? Maybe a little shy? Or is there some deeper, invisible thread that connects all these seemingly random behaviors? Well, it turns out these actions aren't random at all. They are symptoms of a really powerful underlying mindset.
Section 1. The quietly independent. Let's start decoding what this is all about.
And that brings us to Section 2, your internal compass. This is really the core principle that drives everything we've just seen.
So it all boils down to a set of core beliefs, the engine behind all their decisions. They'll almost always choose privacy over popularity because their inner world is just more valuable than what the public thinks. They seek autonomy over negotiation, their energy is a finite resource, and they refuse to waste it. They rely on their own self-validation, which makes external praise kind of irrelevant. And they really value their personal control over some kind of social obligation, refusing to get pulled into dramas they didn't create.
And all of this, every single bit of it, comes from one powerful psychological concept, an internal locus of control. It's this deep, fundamental belief that you are the one steering the ship. The things that happen in your life, they aren't determined by luck or fate or other people. They're the direct result of your own actions.
And this slide just lays out the difference so clearly. Someone with an external locus of control, they feel like a passenger in their own life, just reacting to whatever comes their way and always looking for approval from others. But the person we're talking about? No way. They've got an internal locus. They see themselves as the architect of their own life. And this builds this quiet, powerful self-trust that allows them to solve problems completely on their own.
Section 3. The responsible child's legacy. Now, a compass this strong isn't usually built by choice. To really understand it, we have to go back, way back, to its origins.
And psychology has a name for this. It's called parentification. It's what happens when a child looks around and realizes that someone has to be the grown-up, and they quietly step up to fill that role. They start managing household chores, bills, or even the emotions of the adults around them, long before they're ever ready to.
An experience like that creates this powerful chain reaction in the brain. So first, the child takes on those adult responsibilities. Then, to cope, their brain adapts by literally suppressing its own needs for comfort, for play. They learn a really hard lesson. My feelings have to come last. And over time, this hardens into a core belief. Asking for help isn't just pointless, it's unsafe. And that's how this survival independence gets wired in.
And the effects of this, they last a lifetime. As adults, they might associate just resting with a feeling of danger, because in their childhood, a quiet moment often meant something bad was about to happen. They can feel this deep, crushing guilt for needing support, as if they're just burdening other people. This leads to this belief that their self-worth is tied directly to how useful they are to others. So really, is it any wonder they struggle to trust help that feels inconsistent or temporary?
Section 4. A mind that rarely rests. Okay, so if that's where it comes from, what's it actually like inside their head? Well, it's the experience of carrying a mind that rarely, if ever, gets to just switch off.
The daily mental load is just immense. There's constant overthinking, running endless simulations of every what-if scenario. There's a debilitating perfectionism, because they can see exactly how things should be, and anything less feels like a total failure. This usually comes with some pretty harsh self-criticism. And because their mind is always working, they're grappling with these deep existential questions about life and meaning, all while noticing every tiny flaw and injustice in the world around them. Honestly, it's exhausting.
And this quote just captures it perfectly. The intensity of this mindset. It isn't just about being smart or capable. It's the burden, and also the gift, of carrying a mind that is always on, always processing, always analyzing.
And this brings us to our final section, number 5, strength, not brokenness. And this is probably the most important takeaway of all. We really need to reframe this whole narrative. This isn't about being broken, it's about being incredibly strong.
And this is the key insight right here. Psychology doesn't look at this person and see someone who's flawed or antisocial. It sees a nervous system that adapted, brilliantly, to survive immense pressure. They weren't born this way. They were forged this way, because it was the only way to move forward.
And that leads us to the final question. Especially for anyone out there who recognizes themselves in this profile, you learned strength long before you ever had a chance to learn softness. The challenge isn't to become weak or needy. It's to figure out, how do you honor that incredible strength that got you here while finally giving yourself permission to rest?